show too.
No
Yeah,
problem.
somebody was saying, I was asking a question because I was talking about the fact that some people are being turned away for um, organ donations based on their whether or not they've been
Yeah.
jabbed or not.
Mhm.
And I was asking, I'm like, is that ethical? Are we able to do that? Like, what's the situation? And somebody was telling me that even before all of this, organs were on extremely short supply, which I didn't know. Did you guys know that?
No.
So this
I
is not
hadn't heard
really
that
an
at all.
awareness thing.
Huh.
I had no idea. I
Wow.
didn't know. So I guess maybe we should make sure people know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna fix my lighting while you guys are chatting. Go ahead.
I'd heard some stories out of Brazil that you know, people had passed on and such, and their families went in to see the bodies. They actually forced their way in to see the body, and the body had been basically ransacked, all the organs taken out. And the family's
Wow.
obviously, in a panic, but that's like, black market stuff.
Wow. I've
And
heard
I saw a
some.
video of one family just losing their marbles and like beating on security guards and everything as they were going into the morgue. It's ugly.
Whoa.
Arizona is kind of has morgues that are like that, and they rated, like the feds or somebody rated it. I'll have to find the article, but they rated the place, and they said the place was so unorganized that there were body parts in bins. Like you would just find like arms and legs and heads just randomly in bins from where they were
Oh my
just
God.
cutting people up and taking the organs and everything for them.
Oh,
Dude,
Wow.
it's like right out of Walking Dead. Holy shit.
wow.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So be an organ donor. You'll be doing a lot more than you think. Yeah. I remember that when a friend of mine, when she passed, they were able to take her eyes, even her hair. They donated her hair.
Wow.
So she had really long hair. So.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's been some really there's one guy, he had one specific thing in his blood. I couldn't tell you what it is, but it's totally unique, and he's the only one who has it, and it prevents some kind of blood poisoning. So he just gives blood like weekly. Apparently he saved like tens of thousands of lives in children, because it's something that affects newborn kids. So he goes like weekly. Yeah. I saw this little story about it. Oh, this is nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Hey, you guys. So we're getting a few people in. Hey, Eva, Winona, Alexa. Alexa's also in Germany. Joe's coming to us from Germany. This is Joe Legend. When we get on and start the show properly, we'll give him a proper welcome.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for some people to show up. Wow, I didn't know that was like that.
That's insane.
So what is the universal type is type O, right?
I think so. I think I should probably I should be more knowledgeable about this just because I have the twin kids, and I should always, have that in mind. And like a dope, I don't.
It's okay. How are the boys doing?
Perfect in every way.
That's amazing.
My best friends. They're 13 years old and they're almost as tall as me. I'm 6'3".
Wow.
Yeah.
You think tag team?
Well, actually, the two into handball right now, which is probably saving me from having to get beat up teaching them wrestling.
I was gonna say that's got to be. There's got to be a part of you that's like, yes, just play handball. Right?
Yeah, they're good. Maverick, my one son Maverick, he's the best goalie in his age group and in the age group above him. Connor's becoming a high scorer in his age group. So yeah, I'm thrilled.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Very cool.
That's badass.
So,
I'm glad. I remember being on the road, and you were always looking for. You're talking about looking for matching outfits for them.
Yeah, I always want to find something for them. I end up like buying like action figures or whatever I can find that's just kind of unique to where I'm at. So you go to Japan, you try to find something unique, just that they would have a clue what it was, because they were. I mean, I guess the last time I went to Japan was only a couple of years ago, but when they were first born, I was going over a few times for Noah. And they were just tiny. It's like, I want to bring you all this stuff, but you're not. You're just going to spit on it. Like, you don't know what it is. So I thought I'll bring it for them later. So I've been able to bring, bits and bobs from everywhere. I'm 46 countries in, so I've been able to bring stuff from, all over the shop for them.
Well, let's actually start the show and talk about that. Hey, Chris, Lori, thank you. Hey, Allie, how are you doing? Nice to see you guys. And trust me, I have aged a day
Not a bit.
in 20 years.
Not a bit. Not for what
Yeah,
I
no, I have. So if you want to read the chat, you can go to, we have two different, we have private chat and comments. You can read the comments and see what people are saying. But nice to see you guys joining us tonight. And I guess we should get the actual show started. So Colin, you cool with that?
Welcome to the most important podcast you are listening to right now. The A Show with April Hunter and Aron Stevens.
Hello, and welcome to the A Show. And here we go, because we are here with Joe, E Legend. And first of all, we're coming right in. April, how are you? Joey, how are you? This is awesome.
I'm good. I can say all the way from beautiful Deutschland, Joe E Legend.
Well, hooray for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. From Toronto, Canada, now living in Hanover, Germany. Yep, that's me. Pissing off my uncle to no end because I don't drink, and he's mad that I'm not into the German beer.
You are missing out.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Joey, Toronto.
Toronto, yeah, originally. Yeah.
Okay, so just so like everyone knows, right? So you're Toronto. What age did you get into wrestling? Like what?
Let's see. I started watching it when I was 14. My dad took me to my first matches with the old Sheik's territory, the one that used to come up from Detroit into Toronto. So I used to see Sabu before he was Sabu, and all those guys. And Sweet Daddy Siki and Bobo Brazil and all the greats. And then I got into the business. I think I started training at 18 or 19. And then at 20 or 21, I started wrestling. I had 3 matches, and I got to go over to Japan for FMW. And that kind of kickstarted things into high gear for me.
Wow.
Very cool. So now you find yourself in Germany. When the you got family there though. Your uncle?
No, my wife and kids are here.
That was wife.
I was going to say that, but like I thought you had an extended family when you said your uncle's mad at you.
My uncle in Canada's mad at me for not wanting for being here. He's not here. He can't drink the beer. I am here and I don't.
You can just tell him it's more for him when he comes over to visit you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
That's it.
So I
cool.
met
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I met Joe when I started working overseas a lot, and for some reason we were always kind of on a lot of the same tours.
Yeah, for Brian Dixon and
England, Germany. I feel like in Canada too. I feel like
and then you were in with a couple of times when I was still with TNA.
Oh yeah. Like he's my Sin Bodhi, Aron.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
He's my Nixon.
Gotcha.
So wherever you go, there's a where Aron goes, wherever I go, there's Nixon. I'm like, wherever I go, there's Joe.
Kind of bumping into each other all the time. Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's we were talking about that. So I take it Sin Bodhi.
Oh yeah, I've known Nick for years.
Of course you do. Yes. Why wouldn't anyone not know Nick? Like,
the thing is like when I broke in, and then Edge and Chris. Well, Edge came in a year after, and then Christian came in a year after into the gym we were training at Sully's in Toronto, and those two grew up with Nick. So whenever we did any events locally, the Monarch Park for Canada Day or the Chin Picnic or whatever, Nick would always come and be super supportive. And then if we all went to like a wrestling show, Nick would come too. So Nick was always kind of part of the group from the get-go, and just always, just a super guy.
He was, and Nick, and so the Nick reference, and for Nick and Sin Bodhi are the same people. Everyone in wrestling, like we have our real names, and then the names that we're going as when we meet you. So usually, like it's a hodgepodge of names, but Nick and Sin Bodhi are the same person. And she was meaning like, and you'll appreciate this. Like every stage of my career, every single stage from when I met him in OVW, at some point, like Sin Bodhi, Nick has showed up, like randomly, like whether like I'm in Puerto Rico by myself and he's walking down the street. I'm walking down Ybor City in Tampa, and he's like tattooing someone.
Yeah.
Knocked on the window.
I see him in Ybor in the window.
Like he will always show up in my life at some point. And yeah, so like that's you and April are like that, and that's really cool. Like to have those friends that
It's also really cool because April and I are both like really kind of movie people. We love watching movies and stuff. So we sit in those long bus rides, like when we were going through France and stuff like that, or even like when it was around Christmas time, we were in, I think it was Romania or Bulgaria. It was like back to back, one of those two.
Somewhere, yeah.
And you and I went just to walk around the town, just to see the Christmas lights and stuff. And half of it's like, wow, this is really pretty, and the cobblestone streets and everything is kind of like a Dickens novel. But at the same time, we're like, did you see that one episode of Lost or whatever we were watching at the time? So half of the conversation was movies. So I always had a buddy on the team who I could always shoot the breeze about movies, because everybody else on the team is like moaning on about girls and parties and booze and everything else. And since I don't really party and I'm not a boozer and like that, I got nothing to talk to them about, right?
Yeah.
That was my problem too. I didn't have anyone because I wasn't out. Like everybody was always at the pubs,
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, I cannot say the same.
Yeah, so it was like it worked out. I like to go see the cathedrals and the architecture and all that, the city. So
Well, I remember I did a gig in Moscow, and I got Raven booked with me. So he and I did this match. It was a nice big arena thing, like 5,000 people, nice and crazy. It was part of an extreme sports festival. So they had these giant ramps that these bikes were going up and jumping off of. And at the top, between the two ramps, was where the ring was. So the ring was about, 60 feet up. So we had to do a Raven match. So we fought in the ring, and then we rolled down the ramps and fought on the floor, and then fought up the ramps and went to the finish. But we got to the back, and Raven had just gotten married, and he brought his missus with. And we were sitting in the back, and we started talking. There's something was happening in the world of quantum physics, which I'm kind of interested in. So he and I are shooting the breeze about physics. And his wife walks in, and she just kind of stares at us, and she goes, Scott, is he talking to you about physics? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, she puts her hand on my shoulder. She goes, please get booked with him every time. If I have to hear one more conversation from him about pussy, I'm going to lose my mind.
That's awesome, man. That's so. You know what? It's interesting, Joey, because like with here, we're just kind of wherever the conversation goes, and I'm, obviously you're one of the most well-traveled people. You were saying, was it 46 countries?
Yeah, so far.
That's amazing.
And you live right now. Where do you live in?
I'm sorry.
Right now, you live. What city do you live in Germany?
In Hanover. I'm in Hanover.
That's what I thought. Okay, Hanover.
But I lived in Windsor, Canada for a while. I lived in Memphis when I was still with Vince. I almost bought a house in Tampa. If you watch, you remember the show Cribs? I don't even know if it's still on anymore.
Yeah.
There was an episode where Tori Wilson was showing off her house that her and Kidman had got after they got hitched. That was the house I was going to buy. They came in and underbid me or outbid me and took the house. Whoa. That was the exact house I was going to buy, the rats.
Oh my God. Wow.
If you had bought that house, it would be worth a lot of money right now. Tampa housing has gone through the roof.
But Tampa's the spot, man. I say at every day, like for a wrestler on the road, like Tampa is the spot.
Oh, it is. Just the airport alone is so easy.
Right?
Yes. But there's something to do. You can go tan at the beach. There's all the cool gyms to work out at. There's nightlife. There's Ybor. There's always something to do in Tampa. Like restaurants, everything, man. It's just such a great town.
And you're not weird here. No one's staring at you like you're weird.
No. I love Florida. I've been a bunch of times.
No,
and never had a bad time in Florida. Always loved it there.
Very cool.
It's unusual. Usually somebody gets in trouble in Florida somewhere along the
line. Not do anything. All I want to do is go to the Disney Star Wars park now. Like that'll be me. If I can't afford it, I'll break in. Then I'll get arrested and get in trouble in Florida. That's right. Yeah.
So, Joey, so you're now in Germany. You've been in Germany how long?
I was in
13 years.
I officially moved here in 2004. I think it was after I finished up with TNA. So I think 2004, maybe late 2004, early 2005, something like that.
Awesome. May I ask what brought you to Germany?
Married a German.
That's
hot
a great
German
reason.
woman. What do you think?
That's a great reason. And you have twin
Well, I
boys.
originally, like, I came over here in 98, 99 working for Auto Vance for the old CWA territory. Rhino got me over here.
Oh, is he still there?
No, shit. Rhino lives in Monroe, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
But he was
I always liked him.
Oh, he's a great guy.
He's
I was best
awesome.
man at his wedding, which is probably why the marriage. I was best man at his wedding, which is probably why the marriage didn't work out. But he got me booked over here because Duke Drosy couldn't make it for some reason. He was having some legal issues, and they'd seized his passport. So I just gotten home from doing a month in Eastern Canada, and then Rhino calls, "Hey, bro, you want to go to Germany?" I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "He'll be for a little while." Well, how long? He goes, "About 6 weeks." Like, okay. When do I got to be there? Friday. Really? Yeah. So pack your shit. I'm like, all right. Wow. I got a phone call from Peter Williams, who was booking all the tickets and everything. And, like 4 days later, I was on a flight.
Wow.
Yeah. I got over here for 6 weeks, then went home for 3 weeks, came back for the 5-week Bremen because the old CWA days. You work the same building every night for 6 weeks. For like Hanover, 5 weeks for Bremen. They used to do more. They used to do a bit in Hamburg and Graz, Austria, and stuff like that. But you're in the same building every night. So like people would buy season tickets. They come 7 days a week.
Oh wow!
Whoa!
And you have a caravan out behind the place, so you live right on the property. So it's like a 30-second walk from your door to the locker room.
Oh God! Even then, I still managed to be late.
I believe Rip had some Germany stories. Like that.
There's well, the thing is, you wouldn't have been late because we had the case rule, right? What happens is if you are any later than 1 hour prior to bell time, you're fined a case of beer or a bottle of schnapps.
Oh, okay. I would not be late.
Yeah, if you're in the match and you blow a spot and it's obvious to the crowd. Bottle of schnapps or a case of beer, and the judges would always kind of decide. Like you'd be able to plead your case in this wrestler's court. You'd get away with murder if there was lots of beer in the locker room. If there wasn't much, they'd fine you for attempting to look like a wrestler. They'd make sure to get the freaking bar stocked.
Wow.
And so I ended up getting it changed a little bit because I don't drink. I ended up I could bring a case of pop. So we could have a cola, but they demanded mix with it, so I had to get like a bottle of whiskey or something to appease them. But I was only late like every twice because I don't have much else going on. I'm a fairly dull guy.
Well, I remember. I think I showed up late for something once in Germany, and I got such scathing looks. I mean, I just shrunk. I shrunk down to like a miniature size that I was like, oh, this is not a place where you show up late ever.
There will be consequences, yeah.
Yeah. It's 9.
Wow.
So I wasn't late anymore after that. So
yeah, that's that's interesting. That's
so you have. Oh, here's a couple of questions from people.
Okay.
Somebody's asking, and thank you for the questions, you guys. Is there any difference? Somebody is asking you. There you go. Is there any difference between leading a wrestling stable and mostly fighting one-on-one? He's asking either of us, but go for it.
I would say the big difference is you can do the Raven angle, where like Raven had Raven's flock in WCW. It's the one I'm most associated with. I couldn't really see much of the ECW stuff when it was on. But what would happen is that Raven would be meant to fight Dallas Page or something. And then just before they're about to lock up, in comes Kidman, and then Kidman eats shit. And then here comes Reese, and he eats shit. And like everybody eats shit. And then Raven comes in and DDTs Dallas to get the win. So if you lead a stable, you've got a lot of guys to eat shit on your behalf, so you don't have to bump as much. Whereas if you're on your own, I mean, it's probably more money in your pocket because you're selling merch for yourself and not group merch. So you probably get a better cut of merch money. And I mean, Steve Austin should never have been part of a stable. He was a guy who's just too big a personality. He would have drowned out everybody under him. And Rock, kind of same thing. Like Rock could build on a stable, but they had to pull him off it because he was just so much bigger than the crew he was with. Some guys need a stable to kind of maintain them, and other guys are too big for the stable to contain them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
These are solid. I'm going to say that I like working with a stable because it gives you more options. You can work single tag, six woman matches. Yeah. So I personally like it. I also like bumping less. So that's just me.
After having both hips replaced last year, I'm into bumping less.
I don't need to be the center of attention. I'm fine to be. I'm a good team worker. You are getting questions. There are a few things here. Loose Cannon wants to know if you're still friends with Edge or Adam.
Yeah, we haven't talked in a good while, but we haven't fallen out or anything.
Okay. I know because people come, they move apart, they come together. They move apart, they come together in this business. It's
just recently. There was a talk show called the Deeney Petty Show, almost like a Jerry Springer type thing, where somebody on the stage and then she goes through the crowd and gets questions from the crowd. Wasn't as crazy as Springer, but Bret Hart was there, and this is long before Adam and I ever got in with WWE. And we were sitting in the audience, and they found out we were wrestlers. So of course, Deeney Petty comes over. You guys look like wrestlers. What do you say? And we hit him with a couple of questions, and he answered them. Mm-hmm. This is like 93, 94, something like that. So we totally forgot about it. Somebody found it or they released the footage, but that all of a sudden about a month and a half ago showed up online. They go, hey, look at Edge from whenever.
I saw it.
Yeah, and we were both sitting there with the obnoxious mullets. I
was going to say, his was ignorant. Yeah, it was pretty unapologetic, but you know what? You guys went for it. I respect it.
Did you rocked it though?
Oh yeah, I wasn't afraid. I looked like
there was product involved, right? Like there was, you didn't just.
It was a mohawk mullet.
I looked like a roadie for Duran Duran. I was terrible.
Awesome.
And here's my question to you now about that, because I've seen this clip. This is great. See, folks, this is where you get the real juicy stuff. Now, did you guys just walk in like that? Like, was that just like who you were at the time, or did you guys be like, no, listen, we're going on this talk show. We could perhaps have a chance to meet. We have to be sexed up for this. Like, we have to be dressed. Everything is just like we got to be right. Like,
we got to have the sex hair. We need to have the sex shirt.
Like, I am the farthest thing from sexed up. No, that was us. That's just how we showed up. Like,
that's how you. Okay, so
we just went over to CFDO TV and sat down, but they came over to us because we just, we stood out a little bit. I was probably wearing Zubaz as well too. So we stood out a little bit, and then they came over. They asked a few of us what we did, and I think I just didn't come back from my second tour in Japan. So like, oh well, we got stuff to talk about. It's not just standard. So what was Calgary like? Like it was actually, they thought they'd get something more. And Brett, was kind enough to give advice, but his advice wasn't. I don't want to say it was worthless. It wasn't. It just wasn't. Show up and get booked. Oh, thanks. So you gotta just get booked.
Yes.
That seems easy enough. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Next time I'll remember to be born into a Hart family or something like that. Yeah. Like that's. But no, I saw that, man, and like I said, you guys did stand out. So that was you guys 24/7, 365 back in the day, right?
Yeah, just being power marks for ourselves and for the whole job.
There's nothing because it's that romantic phase when you first to me it was like when I first started realizing like, okay, I'm going to be a wrestler now, and like all my friends, I'm kind of like starting to, and this happened in high school. Like I was starting to kind of just naturally like not grow apart from them, but like I viewed the world through like a different lens. You ever seen those glasses where you can like flick it up and down and like that's what I had back then, because it's like high school and I'm having, the nun tell me to tuck my shirt in and this and that. And then on, that's in the morning, and at nighttime I'm on shows. Did you ever work for a guy named Mike Sparta?
The name's really familiar.
New England, Massachusetts.
Yeah, New England, Massachusetts. Because I know like Adam and Jay.
Oh yeah, Adam and Val, they did. They worked there a lot.
Val worked for him, so like I was doing that.
They were regulars there.
Yeah, like I was.
That's actually where I met Jay. He was sitting in the hallway once, just kind of hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
thinking of ways to be a dick to people.
Probably, yeah. He goes to my gym now. He's down the street from me.
Yeah, that's Jay. That's
or at least he was. Yeah.
Mm.
You mentioned Jay's name to anybody who's been on the roster with him in any company. So Jay, he's a great guy, but he's a wind-up artist. He loves to wind people up, and he tries to wind me up, and it didn't really work because I know what he's up to. So I just laugh too. So then it winds up becoming him winding up somebody next, and then kind of elbowing me in the ribs, like to try and wind.
Those elbows hurt, by the way.
Sorry,
those elbows hurt.
Yes, that's right. Stiff friggin' bastard. But yeah, the first thing we say, hey, do you know Jay? Everybody goes, yeah, he's a fucking dick. Everybody says that, but like in the most affectionate way. They always say the most affectionate way. Sorry?
I know this is funny because I'm like, why would you? Honestly, Jay and I have never had anything but like the most awesome interactions. Like,
because he's funny. But you've seen him. Yeah, but you see him wind people up. Like there are jokes. I got him a bunch of work when we were still training to wrestle. I got him working at bars with me in Toronto because I worked a bunch of different bars. And some of the stories I'd love to tell you, but I can't tell because I don't want to I don't want to put any heat on the guy. But some of the things he said at certain times, it's just like, wow, like I can't believe it's like Anthony Jeselnik. You know Anthony Jeselnik, the comedian?
The comedian, yeah. Yeah.
His whole shtick is what would be the most horrible thing to say in this moment. And then double down on it. Jay would lean into your ear and say the most horrible thing in that moment. You go, holy, like I'm a terrible person for laughing at this, but I'm laughing. And because of that, he gets that like the most affectionate, he's a dick type thing because he is. Like he's a dick, but he's affectionately is a dick.
Yes, there was there was a you know what? I'm not going to say it on the air, but
I was going to say there's a lot of it's the wrong era.
Yeah, no, it was something happened. Like, all right, so we were at a said function. Something happened that no one could talk at, and for some reason, like him and I just looked at each other, and I don't know why. Out of everyone there, I decided to look at him, but like we made eye contact, and we just started. I mean, we couldn't hold it in. We started laughing. It was inappropriate yet awesome. So yeah, I get it.
There's another question here, which I want to prelude to. Someone, Alex Free, and hi everybody that has joined us. Thanks for more people coming in. Nice to see you guys. Somebody said, as a Canadian, Joe, do you support the trucker convoy? And
very much.
A lot of people don't know that you are actually a very outspoken modern day warrior for what has been going on. And that's been very difficult. A lot of people have sat back and not done anything. And you have done the complete opposite. You have been very much front and center with sharing your information, whether it's from overseas or Canada. You have done your research. You have provided real information. And I have a lot of admiration and respect for that. It's very difficult to be outspoken these days. Yeah.
Well, the one promoter I work for over here, it's a show I got coming up for Unlimited Wrestling. They're German outfit, really good group. He told me backstage, like, he's like, not for nothing. He goes like, you are your own person. He's not trying to like force the issue. He goes, but you do understand, I read the German message boards and you get some stick for the stuff you say. I'm like, yeah, fuck. I'm like honestly, like, in August, my dad died from the vaccine. I watched it happen while I was on vacation in Crete, and I saw him. I was on a video chat with him when he went. So I've seen firsthand that it can have some bad effects.
Sorry to hear that.
I think, well, I appreciate that. But in turn, I think it's just a wise move to know all information before you decide to do something like that, to take something like that. You want to take it, but at least be informed about it.
Yeah.
And I just think most people, everything's being so censored. The more you have to censor something, the more I wonder why. And seeing as much censorship that's happening over it, it upsets me.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
So I'm watching videos of soccer players collapsing on the field. Like, who has better cardio than soccer players?
Yes.
Yep.
And they're collapsing on the field, holding their chest. They have myocarditis and all these different heart issues. And where did that come from, right?
And nobody's talking about it. No one cares.
You're not allowed to because then you're an anti-vaxxer. Well, no.
Yep.
It's That's absurd. It's like saying, well, are you married? No. Well, then you're anti-marriage. Well, no,
Yeah.
just not married yet. They haven't found the right woman, right? Like,
Yeah.
What
Because we're so black and white now about everything. Gosh, can you even say black and white?
Sorry, I couldn't.
I was just, what an analogy that was. Like, yeah, especially if like you're past a certain point, right? You're past the age of 35, 40, whatever. Like, oh, you're not married. Oh, so you're anti-marriage. You know, that's super.
Just because you're anti-marriage doesn't mean everybody is, Aaron.
That's crazy though. But no, like, but for that analogy, that's yeah, like how people jump to conclusions and make assumptions.
Yeah, painting with a broad brush.
Yeah, they do that actually. It's crazy. And I'm really, really sorry that you came about this by way of your dad.
Well, like the thing is, I was already kind of suspicious of everything before it, but my dad was in the hospital for, I think it was 6 days shy of a year, and with his hips, knees, ankles, and back, he had a whole bunch of physical issues. So, but he was having his heart checked 2-3 times a week, and they were like, "Wow, your heart's great. Like for your age, you're 70 plus. Wow, I think 75, and you're like you shouldn't. Your heart's great. Like you really should be having more problems than you're having with your heart. But everything to do with his heart, his cardiac, everything was fine. And then he got the first shot, and he went out for a walk. They drained his knee, and then he got on this walker, and he was able to go 100 yards on this walker, which is more than he's done in the past like 5 years prior combined. He was pretty much in the house the whole time. But he went the 100 yards, and he felt good, and he got the jab, and then he went to do it a second time the next day, and he collapsed, turned blue, and they had to run him to an emergency room at Toronto General. And he was there for about a week, and then they brought him back to Toronto Grace, which is more of a rehab hospital. And he was, struggling to stay awake. He was lethargic and everything else. And then he got the second one, collapsed, turned blue. They moved him to Toronto General, and then eventually to ICU. And then he was unresponsive, and that was his time. And I don't see how it all went pear-shaped with his heart when, unless this had something to do with it, because everything was fine beforehand and everything went wrong right after it. And then now we're reading stories. Now I just read today that they're extending the thing between shots, the time between shots. Instead of 6 weeks, they want to do 8 weeks, because 6 weeks is still too powerful on the heart that causes myocarditis. Well, then it is causing myocarditis, and maybe we should rethink taking this stuff.
Yeah. It's weird because they've pulled other vaccines for far fewer issues.
Yeah, 12 people passed. That's it. We're pulling it.
That's it. And this they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and bullying and forcing and censoring and yanking, and it's just something.
And I'm worried about it for my kids, because they want my kid. They just before Christmas they were talking about kids all having to take it here to be able to play indoor sports, and playing the handball. My kids really like playing the handball, and I'm like, I really don't want them taking the shit. And well, here's an example of how stupid it is. They played handball. They didn't end up having to get the thing. There's certain government officials contesting that. Man, good. So we're just waiting. Hopefully they'll come to their senses. But just this past weekend, my kids played handball over here at the school. So it was their team and a team from another school in the city. I don't know where, but it's a little bit of a journey away. They said it's a ghost game. No parents get attend. It's only kids. I'm like, well, that makes no sense, because the kids are coming from their parents and going back to their parents. What difference does it make? But all right, fine. When I went to pick up the kids after their game, it turns out the parents of the kids who came from the school farther away could come in because they came at a distance, and somehow that negates the virus.
What?
Exactly. So the other parents could go, but we couldn't, even though we're paying the taxes for the local area and pay for the school.
Wow.
So it's just tell you, there's nothing about this that makes sense. There's nothing
it's
about
so random and ridiculous that if you're trying to convince me, you're doing a piss poor job, because it's only getting more ridiculous.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Crazy. Very crazy.
Yeah.
That's how we do. And because we're Germany, we're side by side with Austria. Austria has everybody's mandated. You have to get it. But then we're right across the drink from England, who's opened everything up. But England, had Brexit. If England was still inside and Brexit hadn't happened, I bet you it would be easier for us to get things lightened up and go England's direction. But because England's separated, I don't know if we're going to follow England's lead or if we're going to follow Austria's lead.
Oh, yeah.
Two very different directions. And we got a new leadership, so you don't know if they want to, play the power game. I got to show you how in charge I am, or I'm going to show you how magnanimous I am.
Yeah.
Which direction they're going to go with the new leadership, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I don't like calling them leaders anyways. Like it's amazing with politicians. Like, when they want your vote, they're your servant. And when they're in charge, they're your leader. I don't like that. I don't like calling them. They're not leaders. They're supposed to be, making sure that the lawns are cut and the police are paid and stuff. They're not supposed to lead me. I don't need a leader. And to be honest, like if I was still living in Canada, I wouldn't leave my kids. At 13, I wouldn't leave my kids alone in a room with Justin Trudeau, let alone if they were infants. And I'm supposed to let him lead the charge? Yeah.
So as a Canadian, you are behind the
truckers, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact that they got the cops walking over and rifling their frigging gasoline and taking it away is criminal.
Yeah, well, how are they getting away with all of that?
Seizure, and they're telling people that if they bring food or drinks to the truckers that they're going to be arrested. They've outlawed blowing your horn.
How can they pass a law suddenly like that without voting?
Because they've been doing it with these emergency mandate things. They're saying it's an occupation now. Now, in my opinion, anybody who gets busted for blowing their horn should immediately sue the car company that sold them a car with a horn in it.
Yeah.
Watch how quick that car company starts petitioning the government to get people off their backs.
Wow,
that's
actually a good idea.
Canada is doing that. Like that's just crazy to me. I mean, that's not good.
Canada's doing it. The incredible thing is that like people are outside with their kids at the protest playing hockey and having bouncy castles, but they're trying to paint it as a violent protest. They're bouncy castles, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of support then for the truckers.
Tons.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Oh,
It's spreading. I guess Australia is doing it now. The truckers are doing it there.
Good.
I think Denmark has a trucker protest going too.
Yeah, UK started.
Wow.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I agree with the UK, but that's good too.
Yeah,
More
UK
than
started the organization. They're trying to block it from everywhere. And someone's saying that the United States is doing it too. They're trying to. That's why they're blacking it out on the media. They don't want it to spread, and they don't want this to happen. But
the thing is that Boris Johnson only opened things up largely because he got busted for those parties at Downing Street.
Yeah.
And so he had to try and babyface himself to the public, or he's going to worry about them getting him ousted.
Yeah.
And he thought that would be enough, but now they've busted him for even more parties after he opened everything up. So he's worried about losing his power, so he wants to, keep this trucker thing quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing because they get busted here for all the parties and nobody cares. Nobody holds them accountable.
Yeah.
They just life goes on.
Well, you saw the Stacey Abrams picture like yesterday or today?
I don't think I saw that one.
No, she took a picture. She was like at some school, a bunch of little kids. There's looks like 50 kids behind her, and they're all sitting there wearing masks, and she's sitting there without a mask with a big smile. And so they busted her on saying, aren't you supposed to be leading people as far as, your example?
Yeah. And
her response was that everybody's picking on her, and it's a shame because they're picking on her during Black History Month.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
That sounds about right. Yep.
Okay.
Just,
Huh.
Instead of just owning it and saying, you know what, because we don't need them anymore. People would have loved her for it. She would have got people on both sides of the aisle behind her. Holy shit. And instead she, just played identity politics because she doesn't know how to combat anything without.
Well, that's like when Nancy Pelosi got busted at a hair salon. Like, oh, they set me up. No, you got caught.
You fell for it though.
You got caught. That's what it was. You got stop it. Just and ever since then, nothing she does or says. I can't respect that. And I can't respect her nephew Newsom.
Yeah. When I saw her with the fridges.
Yeah.
When she was on, I think, what's the British guy, the late night talk show guy?
Trevor Noah?
James
Corbett or
Corden.
something?
James Corden.
James Corden, yeah. Mm-hmm. But he was doing a feed from her house, and she was standing for. She has these two $25,000 fridges in her house, and everybody's sitting at home. Everybody's at the beginning of this whole thing panicked and everything else, and she's like, "Yeah, I got this ice cream. It's like $60, and I can't live without it. She's sitting there laughing. It's like it was very much a Marie Antoinette, like let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, I can't believe people are tolerating her, and she just bulldozes through, and they just let her get away with everything. It's beyond ridiculous.
Yeah, meanwhile, people are fighting over trying to get the last roll of toilet paper, and she's eating $60 ice cream.
Yeah,
it's crazy how rich our people in Congress are. Like they are wealthy.
Considering we can actually go to the books and see what they make, like what their salary is, and they go in at $130,000 a year and walk out with $70 million after 5 years. Like what? How'd you pull that off?
So today, or yesterday, the FBI tried to put a memo out, or they're trying to put a memo out saying that anybody that exercises their right to free speech should be looked at as a terrorist.
Terrorist, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What happened? Repeat that.
They're trying to say
it's a follow-up from the school thing.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can.
Yeah. It's a follow-up because I don't know, about a month ago, I guess, maybe a little bit more. Parents were going to the schools because they didn't like there's one school was pushing like basically pornography on the kids. Write a dirty story that you think two Disney characters would have. Like write a sexual interaction between two Disney characters, stuff like that. Yeah. So the parents showed up, in a bit of a lather about it, saying this is ridiculous for 11-year-olds. And so the teachers union contacted the FBI and said, we want all these people who come and complain at these meetings to be investigated as potential domestic terrorists.
Oh, I thought they were complaining just about masks and mandates.
Yeah, some of them were. Some of it was that, but I remember specifically because the one mayor of the one town. I wish I knew the follow-up to the story, but he walked up to the front of the thing, sat down. Hi, I'm blah blah blah. I'm the mayor of this town. It's come to my attention that you people are pushing what is essentially pornography on these kids. I've spoken to a judge. You are all to resign immediately, or we're pressing charges. Thank you. And he got up and walked out, and the whole place jumped up and applauded him. I'd like to know what the follow-up to that whole story was, because there's no need to push this on kids.
Yeah, absolutely. That's disgusting. That's I mean, come on, man. What the hell's wrong with people?
But then again, wasn't there an American? He was a senator or something like that, and he got caught rubbing one out during a Zoom call.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah, right.
I missed that one.
Yeah,
cranking it. Yep, on Zoom.
Yeah. What happened?
Which, I mean, that's some.
He was being Canadian. I'll use a Canadian reference. He was pulling the goalie during a Zoom call.
Happening carrot. There's tons of names for it. I like that one. Pulling the goalie.
Yeah. So he got caught for that, and I think they sat him home 2 weeks, and then he's back doing his government thing.
Wonder what he did.
Was it the government or CNN? I can't remember. He was one of them. It was kind of one and the same.
It was Jeffrey Toobin, and he works for CNN. He's like a political analyst. Yeah.
Oh, is that the guy who was just let go?
No. This was several months ago. They basically had a Zoom call. He got done talking, and he thought he was good, and just kind of stood up, got the bottle out, just put it in his hand, and then next thing they know, they just notice him just going to town.
Wow. That's fabulous.
Yeah. Well, you want to make an impression, they won't forget you.
Hey, there you go.
They will never forget that.
Crazy, but obviously the FBI is not going to investigate those people as domestic terrorists. Right?
Somebody said
at first they were.
Chuck says playing 5 against.
There's enough
5 against 1
that they're messing with it. I don't know if it's completely off the table, but enough people stood up, enough people on the Republican side say, these people are just parents. They're not domestic terrorists. I can't believe you people are doing this. And they grilled the head of the FBI. And he kind of turtled a bit, but I don't know if he's actually, killed it off. But I guess that sets precedent for what April was saying in that update there about domestic terrorism.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's see. Al Bundy 3366 is saying, "Who is your Super Bowl pick, Rams or Bengals? Do you even care?"
I'd like to watch it. It's just all the games are on so bastard late, and I got to be up at 6 for the kids for school that I never get to watch anymore.
Oh my God.
I'd like to see the Bengals win, even though I really don't know who's playing. I'd like to see the Bengals win just because I always kind of like the Bengals. As much as I like the Rams, but I'm hoping for the Bengals just because I liked the Bengals years ago.
Because Louisville, when you're up in Louisville, you got, you appreciated Cincinnati. Is it Cincinnati, right? Am I thinking that right?
Cincinnati Bengals, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me sad when girls do that.
Sorry. I have no fucks to give. I watch wrestling, I'm like, I don't know who's playing. So
that's the thing, when I'm teaching like wrestling, I teach seminars everywhere, right? And so I teach regularly in Poland. I teach regularly here. And stuff. So you're trying to show how to throw a clothesline. And like, well, you can't leave your arm out to the side because it looks pretty welfare. And you're going to rip your shoulder out if the guy cements on you and all this. You got to throw it forward, like throwing a baseball. And they just stare at you like you dropped out of a dog's ass. It's like, oh, you guys don't know what baseball is, huh? But you ought to lob a grenade, like something to give them the impression about how to throw a ball.
Okay, like you're throwing a coffee mug at your ex's head. Okay, here you go.
You know what, Killer?
All right, we know that.
You know what? How Killer taught me was, if you're throwing a clothesline, right? Make believe there's another head.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, punch him in the face. Yeah.
You're punching that second head in the face.
And that way, like, yeah, it was.
Yep.
That's kind of like, yeah, that was my thing. Just punch the other head in the face, but then,
Yeah, my whole thing was always get the arm out in front of you. So, like, if you're going to throw a ball and you try to throw it far, are you going to flick it with your wrist from the side, or are you going to commit your whole body to it? And that body language seems to resonate.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
wow, that's awesome.
So a lot of people don't know that you have written several books.
Yeah, I've written a few. Well, a co-author. I shouldn't say I authored them. I was a help on them. Crystal McCarrington wrote. It's her baby, really.
Okay.
And then she had some wrestling stuff in there, and I tidied up the wrestling stuff to make it more valid to the wrestling industry, because she's a fan, but she doesn't understand the insides of the business the way I've just been doing it forever. I was thinking about also, because like I'm 52 now, and technically I've been a wrestler longer than I haven't.
Oh gosh.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freaking weird,
Yeah, it is. Right, yeah.
Yeah, so I just have a better kind of comprehension of how wrestling works. So I tie that stuff up there. So like we have Marie's World and stuff like that. It's currently looking like it's going to be optioned for a movie. Okay. So we're just waiting on, fingers crossed, that type of thing, because I like money.
Hey.
So wait, what are the books?
What's wrong with that?
Oh golly, there's Marie's. It's the Marie's World series.
Okay.
So there's the Marie World. There's Marie World Aftermath. Golly, see, I got the books in the other room. Like I dig them up, but everybody's asleep. Like it's almost 2:30 in the morning. Okay. Also, I did ages ago. I signed off on a 3-book deal for my autobiography, and I finished 40 chapters of the first book. And then there was an issue. Yeah, there was an issue with the publisher, so I pulled it back.
Okay.
They were having some problems, and I didn't want to have them holding it if they went into legal problems.
Okay.
So I did. So the first one was going to be called Joey Legend, and No, I Haven't Heard of You Either. The second one was going to be called Joey Legend, so that didn't go to plan. And the third one's called Joey Legend, Will You Just Get to the Effing Point?
Hell yeah.
Best titles ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's really? Kind of how I have my 3 rabbits here. I have 3 pet rabbits. And I'm because I'm a sap for them, I'm a complete pushover. I'm on like a dozen different like bunny sites on Facebook to like check in if I have a problem. Oh, this bunny's acting weird. Does anybody know what's going on? That type of thing. People are super helpful too. Mm-hmm. But there was one that said, like, let's see how many different places. Like, say your bunny's name, and we'll see if somebody on the other side of the world has the same name. See, like, if that community works. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't want anybody having the same names as my rabbits. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. My one rabbit, the little girl here, this is the great and powerful Ahsoka Tano, protector of the world and jewel of the Jedi Order. Oh. Then we have Dr. Frederick Bonkers, bunny psychologist. He's in your head, man. Uh-huh. And then we have Lady Timber, warrior princess and master of kung fu.
I like it.
To date, I have yet to have anybody say, "Hey, me too."
I like it. I'm surprised you didn't name one of them Nymeria or something. Nymeria lady.
I have a rabbit story.
Sure.
And I also, well, it's actually more of a rabbit tragedy.
Oh no.
Well, no, there's love, there's birth, there's death, the whole thing. But here's what happened. At the time, I was living with a woman, and we had a pet rabbit named Bunny Fufu.
As you do.
Who needed a friend. So Mama Bunny was procured. Mama Bunny had 3 babies that were not weaned off yet. So Mama Bunny was kept in a separate cage, which was just like a dog kennel, like a dog crate.
Sure.
Right. And because the babies would not come out of it, like she was, making sure they're all right. And well, then I get a call on a Monday morning in my hotel. What happened? Mama Bunny has just gave birth to 5 more rabbits. So we went from 1 rabbit in the house to then we had 1 and we had 5. We had 10.
There we go.
Wow.
And we were able to give one of the rabbits away, one of the older babies away.
Yeah.
But Mama Bunny actually killed one of her own young.
Oh, shit.
And then, like, all this tragedy happened, but then in the midst of it, I would do laundry downstairs. And when the little bastards were starting to learn how to walk, they would escape from the crate and go and take a dump in my gear bag while I was home for a day and a half. So I'm washing my gear. And so I put, like, I think it might have been it was my Mizdow coat. Like, I put that up, whatever, go to the town, fly out. We were in Michigan or somewhere like that. Open my coat up, and there was rabbit crap. It went everywhere. It was just like I don't think I've ever seen Glenn laugh that hard because he was sitting next to me. He goes, "What the hell is that?" And I had to tell him that story.
It was shit confetti, yeah.
And they were just, I mean, it was, yeah. It was just awful. It was, yeah. Like, so the rabbits, I don't have. Bunny Fufu was awesome, but Mama Bunny, she'd kill her own young and then, send them to go defecate in my workplace.
You could have started your own bunny cyborg army. It would have been awesome.
No, it was horrible. But
Right?
no, I heard they kill their own young to snap themselves back into heat. Have you ever heard that or had that happen?
No. No, they're not that.
You research that. They're rabbits maybe German rabbits are nicer. Rabbits in America are not nice. They're no, I'm telling you.
Rabbits in Germany are food.
Sometimes. The thing is, like, my buddies all know that I'm like just this big push. I'll sit there and hello, baby. Ooh, like any kind of tough wrestler in it just dies when I see, play with my buddy or whatever. So my buddy Flatliner out of England, he's another J. Like, he's always trying to wind people up. And we were touring Italy together, and the hotel was providing meals. So you just go and order, and they just bring it to you. It's part of the deal. And of course, he's like, "So what are you having?" So I'm having it's Italy. I'm probably having pasta. He's like, "Oh, I see they have rabbit here." I said, "Don't you dare. I think I shall have rabbit." And he sat there and just ate rabbit in front of me and kept trying to give me pieces. Like, "You horrible, rotten bastard."
Wow.
That's fucked up.
Oh.
Yeah, but they know, like, that's where the wine, like, "Chris, piss off. Would you just piss off?" "Oh, no, hold on. Try it with some ketchup." Like, fuck off, Chris.
Oh, my God. Whoa. That's funny. Oh my God, that's that's it is weird because right where I'm at now, there's a lady who's very, very into veganism, and she's like, "Look, you eat a cheeseburger, but you have a dog. Like, look at a cow, look at a dog. Like, they're both living things. Come on." And I actually hate to think about that, but it is true. So
yeah,
it's
a perception thing. Yeah, like people in Korea eat dogs.
I do eat and everything, but I've been a little more conscious. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'll say, like, I'm somewhat, like, I'm an animal lover. If I had to hunt my own food, chances are I'd be more vegetarian.
Same here.
I can't do it. I can't kill all the little pieces. I can't. But at the same time,
man, I think I would out-hunt you guys. I'd be out there.
Steak.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hey, if you come in the shape of a T-bone or in a nice round thing like that I can put on a bun and ketchup on, that's fine. But you put a face on it, it's a different deal.
Exactly. It makes me somewhat of a hypocrite, but I'll have to just wear that.
Yeah.
Because I love a good steak, but my trouble is that I love steak, and that I foolishly let my kids try my steak, and now they love steak. So dinner, all of a sudden, the dinner bill just went through the roof.
Oh, yeah, and that's 2 13-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to keep kids on, like, really keep them on, like, vegetarian food, like, the first 18 years. And then when they get out,
18 years.
The first 18 years or so.
18 minutes would be lucky.
Yeah.
Like, because I get steaks over here, and they got, like, a black garlic marinade, and then I make a Bernaise peppercorn sauce, and I rice, and I just do it. I get corn on the cob with garlic butter and just gorge myself.
I remember you got me hooked on quark.
Yeah, quark's the tits, isn't it? It's great.
And then the Bulgarian yogurt, and I couldn't get it when I got back to the States. And then I
You don't
found
really?
they don't do it here.
Really, my mom's always finding all this Germans. Like she came over here before. She couldn't come here for Christmas after my dad. I was going to have her here for Christmas. First one without dad type thing. And then, of course, the Canadian government was really being squirrely about travel. Like she might come here, but then she might not be able to return. So now she's coming over in April, which kind of works because her birthday and my kid's birthday are only 2 days apart. So she gets to have a grandma birthday and then be there for her my kid's birthday, which is nice. But from being over here the few times she has, she's found stuff she likes. And then she searches around Toronto and she finds most of it. I'm like amazed that she can find half the stuff, but she finds all kinds of stuff I never would have expected would be over there. I always thought it was kind of mom and pop local stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But by hook or by crook, there's just places in Toronto like that have like ridiculous like quark and stuff like that. You wouldn't expect them to have it. Milk and chocolate that tastes like happy.
Toronto is a first-class mother trucking food city.
It is.
Because here's the difference. I spend a lot of time. Have you ever met Santino?
Yeah. I was just on a show in Poland with him.
Yes. He's actually trying to get me on that show, or he like wanted me to go on, and something happened. But like I'm very close with him, right? So I go to Toronto.
He's a great guy.
Oh yeah, like I stay at his parents' house, and
oh wow.
Like what I love about that city is like there is an Italian section.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a Bulgarian, Greek, any kind of ethnic food you want, right? There's that authentic, that Northeast neighborhood, and how everyone is just welcome and like it's in America, it can be kind of like, hey, what are you doing here? But how welcoming Canada is, and you have all these ethnicity in the food, the music, and they're literally like sharing the best of what they have. I'm like, why can't we do this in America? Because it's so great. And the food there, oh my God, it's off the chain. It is. Well,
Toronto's super cosmopolitan. It's probably the most cosmopolitan city in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just when I used to work at the bars, I used to work out in the West End, and then you work till 3, and then you're kind of still wound up. So then you pick an area of the city to go because there's always a couple of restaurants open late that all the bar workers go to.
Yep.
And all
you find the yakiniku.
Oh, we hit the Greek town every time. Greek food.
Oh, really? Korean.
Got so hooked on we went to Koreatown, to Chinatown on occasion, but my first vote was always the Greek town. I loved it. And then I started wrestling in Greece, and the promoter I worked for used to own a Greek restaurant, and I love just a chicken souvlaki on a pita, and he has this homemade recipe. So I go there, I stay at his house, and he just sorts Joe out with like 5 chicken souvlaki on a pita. It's just glorious. It's like, do I get paid too? Like I thought I was just getting paid in food, but I even get money for it. Awesome.
Wow.
Hey, do you remember in Bulgaria where yes was no and no was yes?
That's familiar.
The head shake?
Yeah.
Like this meant yes and this meant no. And we went to a Greek place or something. The promoter took us to a Greek place.
Right.
He just reminded me. And they was messing us up. Because we were trying to order food and we didn't realize yes means no and no means yes. And we found out real quick.
A little cray-cray.
Oh, it's amazing. Just the little things like, you guys being American. I find that when people know I'm Canadian, I'm fine. If they think I'm American, you can get some stick. Because the first time I went to Moscow, first time I went to Moscow. I've been like 10 times now, so I got to try and get it together. But the first time I went, the promoter took us to this bar, and being the hard ass that I am, I got like a apple cranberry juice, right? In a dirty glass because I'm fucking hard case, right?
Huh.
And so I go over and say, I got apple cranberry, and the bartender just walked away. I was like, prick. I go over to Vadim, Vadim, with this fucking. So Vadim, I hear him back and forth and blah, 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 back and forth. Blah, 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 American, blah, 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 no, Canadians. Oh, when he runs over and gives me a drink, all apologetic.
Wow.
So you guys are giving me a bad rap.
I always used to say I was Canadian when I traveled. I used to have a couple of Canada shirts.
Canadian flags on their luggage to reduce the heat on them.
Yep. Oh,
wow.
I was married to a Canadian for ages, so it was easy. I would just pick up all my Canadian stuff there and put
Wow.
Because I would get heat, especially in France. Like,
really?
it was at the time. And,
Oh yeah.
But I've been like that's the thing is France has that reputation of like the snooty, we hate everybody else, foreigners, English speaking scumbags.
I always liked it there.
I've been to France 68 times.
Yeah.
And I have not had one bad experience of anybody being rude there. Not in any of those times. And I've been to like obviously Quebec, didn't have a problem. Belgium, the French speaking parts of Switzerland. Never had a problem with France. I had one ignorant person once working at a kiosk in Rome, and I had that one bartender in Moscow. And those are the only two I can really think of where people were just ignorant on the face of it. By and large, people, like in any of these countries, like all seem to just, if you make half an effort, I always make an effort to learn how to say please and thank you and whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of a big deal.
That makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Because when I was a heel, like first thing I would learn is how to say shut up, and then it's please and thank you. Yes, like right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So in France, I was told like the same thing, how they're rude and they're not very friendly towards Americans. When I used to have a character where I was very aristocratic and like I thought I was kind of better than everyone and all that crap.
Yeah, your slogan was "You're welcome," right? That was your catchphrase. I remember that. Yeah.
So like, and it was a very easy character to kind of dislike and whatever. But in France, when they hit my music, you would have thought like I was a baby face. I went, what the fuck? No, I went up there. I couldn't believe it. I'm like scratching my head. And then someone was explaining to me, one of our tour managers was just like, no, like, we as French, like we think, there are stereotypes that Americans are this way. And when they come over here and they act like this, and it's just some cultural misunderstanding. You know what I mean? It's just stuff that like, I think as Americans, we can be a bit egocentric. And this is just, again, an overall picture. I'm not trying to go into, specific individuals, whatever, but just as a whole, like the American kind of, bravado, if you will. It's just kind of part of who we are. And it doesn't translate. Like when you go to even, Canada, there's a little bit different vibe. It's just a little more relaxed. And then people are a little nicer. And in France and in England, people are just, they go out of their way to be nice. And
England, what?
So it depends on where you are in England.
I found England to be extremely unfriendly. Like you can go 3 days without anyone saying hello to you.
I wouldn't say that. I never found them to be unfriendly, but they always have a look on their face like they say, "Oi, mate, how you doing?" And you're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they're like they're immediately kind of sizing you up and judging you on your accent.
Yeah.
But I've never really had a bad problem. I mean, like I said, I've been to England, I've been to the UK 138 times, and not really had a problem there with any of it. Like most people, I mean, be it a heel when I worked heel. I mean, I got in Liverpool. I was with Nick. Nick and I were tagging up in Liverpool, and we were wrestling the UK Kane and UK Undertaker, which, it's hard to get wound up for. But we had a big theater full of people, probably 2,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So for Dixon.
And we did this. I had to do a promo at the beginning. So the standard thing is, I say, whatever city I'm in, what a freaking dump. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like the Mick Foley, here in, North Carolina, the place goes crazy. Yeah. Right. And then you asshole. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, so here, Liverpool, England, what a freaking dump. Boo. And so I mouth off about how cool I am. And then, I was saying, well, the only good thing about you people is that you're the hometown of John Lennon, and the airport down the road had only had the name changed to John Lennon Airport from Liverpool International like 3 weeks prior, something like that, like really recently. Mm-hmm. And so I say, the only good thing you have going for you is you're the hometown of John Lennon, and the place pops. And I said, well, I was with WWE for like a year and a half, so I understand a thing or two about the entertainment side of the industry. So in the spirit of entertainment, I'd like to do for you my impression of John Lennon. And I turn to Nick, and Nick goes, bang, and I dropped.
Ouch.
And it went real quiet. And Ben got real fucking angry.
Wow.
And Nick and I had to be carted out of Liverpool. We had to be escorted out by cops with riot shields. Because apparently somebody in the audience was threatening to bring a gun and shoot us.
Isn't that the best? when it becomes real and like you've taken this phony make-believe world and you've now weaving it into such a tangible temporal fabric that it excites people that like there may be an actual threat. I always thought that's the greatest part of the industry. When you can piss people off that much, regular people who, as an entertainer, hate you so friggin' much that like they want to do harm to you. Yeah. It's the best feeling in the world. And man, Nick never told me about that one, but I'm gonna have to text him.
Yeah, hit him up. The thing is that we did that, and then a couple days later, Brian had me work with Nick in a double baby face mask. I'm like, well, let's just do baby face. He'll put him face. I'll put him over. I don't care. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, and you're not getting the microphone. I'm like, why not? He says, because of all the heat you got us in Liverpool. I said, what? He said, yeah, the people there, the radio station's been slagging us off for days for what you said about John Lennon. I said, so they've been talking about your show for 3 days after? You're welcome. Right? And he's like, no, it's heat. I said, here's what I want to do. Next time we go, it was at the Empire Theater in Liverpool. I said, next time we go, put me on like in the opener with somebody I can squash. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'll go on the mic and I'll say, listen, I've been told that I have to come out of here. If I don't apologize, I'm not only going to be fined, I'm not only going to be suspended, but I will be deported. Let him pop. Mm-hmm. So from the bottom of my heart, for everything I said about John Lennon, I humbly apologize and let them kind of at me. I said, now Lady Diana, on the other hand, and then kick in on her for a bit, and then do a bit of a squash to the point where I get disqualified and put the kid over on a DQ, but stay on him. Yeah. And then James Mason, who's one of the best workers in England, comes out, kind of chases me off, challenges me to a flag match, and we do the final part of the angle. Me and him do a flag match. I put him over and hooray for England. And Brian wouldn't do it, but I thought that's that angle sells itself. If they're already that hot, let's use it.
Yep. Wow.
Were you in the Butlins?
Jesus.
Oh, I did tons of the Butlins camps. Gee, all three Butlins camps, and then I did the Havens camps, and I did the Pontins camps when I went through for the Knight family, Paige's parents. I've worked for them. Mm-hmm. So we did the Pontins and Havens camps. Gee whiz.
Joey, favorite. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you were going to ask the questions that are there?
Oh no, I was going to. I had a couple questions for Joey myself.
Go for it.
Sure, hit me.
Favorite place to wrestle or favorite places, like top 3 if you had to break it down. I know it's
well, I guess Germany I'd have to say Germany just because the wife and kids are here. It's just saving me heat come Christmas time. Mm-hmm. For just wrestling style, I always love wrestling in Japan. I did 15 tours there, and every time I didn't have a bad time. The first one for FMW was a huge learning curve because I was too green to be there. Mm-hmm. But Sabu was an endless help to me, and I will thank him every day for it. He was fucking so helpful. Other guys were ribbing me and treating me like shit and all that stuff, but Sabu always stepped up and was a huge help to me. So I'm grateful to him forever for that. Obviously, get my start in Canada. In Canada, I've always enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. I had the 2 TV series in England, so England's always treated me well.
Yeah.
Mostly the only place I really didn't care for was Nigeria. But beyond that, I find I always love going to South Africa.
Isn't it beautiful?
That's somebody gorgeous. Actually, Alex Free asked what you thought about. Oh, there you go, Joe. What was it like wrestling in South Africa? So
I think I've been there 9 or 10 times, and like every time, the first time I went, we only wrestled like once a week, and we were there in the rainy season. So I was the only guy who could go to Africa and come back whiter than when he left. I got to wrestle a guy named. We were doing outdoor tennis stadium. I got to wrestle a guy named
in Durban.
In Durban, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the tennis. What a great building that's honestly. I'm not to interrupt. That's in my top 5 buildings I've ever worked.
That's fun, isn't it?
It's So sorry.
Did you have big crowds?
Yeah, we were sold out.
See, we never got to sell out because we were there in October and it was a rainy season.
Okay.
So the show would be booked Friday and it would rain, and they postponed to Saturday, so you lose half your audience. Then it would rain. We have to do it Sunday, and they lose another half the audience, and then it'd be raining then, and you see people with tarps over their heads. So we got rained out virtually every week. But it was one of the best learning experiences there too, because I learned how to work in rounds, because they were still doing rounds back then and not straight matches there. So South Africa was always a great time. But yeah, getting rained out and stuff. But I got to wrestle a guy named Tornado. I don't know if you may have met him.
Was this for Pink Panther?
Sorry?
With the Pink Panther. PJ's dad, Justin Gabriel's dad.
I never got to meet him. Tornado was well, he's a veteran now, but he was one of the younger guys back in the day. Back when I was there. This is like 95, I want to say I was there the first time. And but his name was Tornado, and I got to wrestle him during the tail end of a hurricane.
Whoa.
There's a hurricane going through, and he's still doing springboard moonsaults. I'm like, you don't got it, fucker. But he did it. He was just that talented. But the ring was all warped from, like, the rain had warped all the wood. So most of the matches you wanted to wrestle on the outside, because if you bumped, at least it was flat and you didn't knock one lung loose. So we kept, like, I took a bump in the ring, and I honestly had to tilt my head up because I was in a puddle because everything was so warped. And I had to do I think it was 4 rounds with Tornado in a hurricane, in the tail of the hurricane.
That does not sound ideal at all.
Crazy.
Wow. Since I'm alive, it's kind of a cool thing, Yeah. But yeah, we did a high-speed car chase down there. One of the guys, I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants it known or not, but he'd married a hooker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he and his missus had a big meltdown, so we had a high-speed car chase, all over, like driving over sidewalks and everything all over town, and had to chase her and try to get her out of her old whorehouse that she used to work in, where the bouncer stands at the door wearing a wife beater and had a sawed-off shotgun.
Wow.
It was a hell of a
very
match.
video game like right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like Grand Theft Dignity.
Yeah. Oh, holy shit. Oh, God. So Alexa's she asked, what was the biggest culture shock for you in moving when you came to Germany?
Biggest culture shock. I don't know if you call it a culture shock, but it's the fact that I got used to, in living in Canada, I got used to everything being open 7 days a week. And in Germany, everything's shut on Sunday. Like, you got cinemas and restaurants, that's about it on Sunday. And like, obviously a concert or, sports or something like that. Yeah. But everything's shut. And I like that, because I find, like, just from what I've seen, I guess because I'm getting old and I'm getting, judgmental. But when I see people in Canada now, like, with the cost of everything, the cost of living and stuff, you have 2 adults. They both work a job. They both work a full-time job. And usually when they're starting out, one of them works a part-time job as well, just to try and get ahead of the curve, So then you have kids, and the kids go to school all day, and then, they got sports or whatever activities afterwards. And then on the weekend, they want to go with their friends. It seems you got 4 strangers living under the same roof. To the point where that's why I think a lot of marriages kind of drift apart, is that people spend more time with their colleagues and get more of a bonding with their colleague at work than they do with their spouse at home, and they don't feel the responsibility over the kid. The kid just becomes a financial responsibility rather than a joy to have. And I'm a big sap for my kids. My kids are my best friends, so maybe that's why I look at it this way. Yeah. But with Sundays, everything's shut. Like, you're kind of obligated to spend the day with your family, and you get a chance to reconnect. I mean, my kids and I stay up late and we're watching Green Arrow and stuff like that. Like, we sit up all night and watch movies and stuff like that. It's great. Nice. But a lot of people don't have that option. So having one day of the week where the family just gets together, they get to have, at least 2 meals a day. Maybe you get up at different times for breakfast, but lunch and dinner you get to have together, and, go out to the park or watch something. So the culture, I wouldn't say it's culture shock, but the culture difference is that families are kind of almost, I don't want to say forced to, but it's so much more encouraged to have a family life as much as you have a professional life. So I do like that about it.
Wow. Yeah. Very cool.
It's funny that you say that, but that kind of makes total sense. There was a book, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's about a man and his girlfriend. Well, the man wanted to do an experiment to write about, and he wanted to live with the Amish. And these were like
Okay, so it's not penthouse letters. Okay.
No, sorry. These are like backwoods Amish. Like even like modern Amish even think these guys are backwoods.
The unshaved Amish. Okay.
Totally. So he obviously had to marry his girlfriend. Sorry to disappoint. And they got accepted to go on to whatever I want to say their reservation, whatever this thing was, and live there for a year. And they learned the Amish way. And when at the end of the year, he ended up saying 15 months. At the end of that time, there were a lot of things that he took away. And one of the things was, he went home every day for lunch. He got to spend time with his wife. And, things change when you go by the light of the day. And he got to spend time with his kids. And he ended up choosing to homeschool them because he didn't really care for the curriculum, the way the school, he felt that what the schools were teaching them, they weren't really teaching life skills that were actually important and different things that he came away with. He saw the world that he previously lived in a different light. And it was really interesting.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's not unlike a little bit of what you just said.
Yeah. I can imagine that would be the case.
Yeah. So you have some iPay reviews coming up where people can actually watch you online wrestling.
Yeah. The iPay review that's for the Sirius Sports Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that's the Sirius network that like Howard Stern's has a channel on.
Mm-hmm.
I assume it's the same thing. That's on February 20th.
And what's it called?
You remember, Alpha Female?
Yeah. Jazzy B.
Yeah, this is her baby. She's putting this whole thing together.
Okay.
Apparently, she's got a huge show involved with it. Like, I don't want to go into too much detail because I think part of it's supposed to be the surprise aspect, but it's not just wrestling. It's there's a lot of entertainment value, but the wrestling is still sound. It doesn't replace the wrestling. It works around the wrestling, like with the ring entrances and outfits and things like that. She Hollywoods up the wrestling, but then when the wrestling happens, it isn't a complete cartoon.
That's the way the business should be, in my opinion.
Yeah,
exactly. Like you want to have people walking away kind of like, wrestling, because it was too silly. Like when the wrestling happens, you're still going to be into it, but the entrances and things like that are going to be a little more show busy. Yeah, which most sports would love to have, but haven't quite figured out how to do. UFC's done a good job, but Vince was the trailblazer there. For better or for worse, you can agree and disagree with a lot of the stuff he does, and I disagree with a lot of stuff he does, but the stuff he does right, you got to give him credit for your
stuff he did right.
Yeah, and the entrances, the music, all that stuff. I mean, I own my music. So that's the best part about it. If there's one bit of advice, if a wrestler's listening to this, one thing that's key, get your own music that you have the rights to.
Or public domain.
Yeah. Well, if you have the rights to, it's kind of cool because then nobody else can use it, right?
There you go.
Yeah, no, I come down to the Hallelujah chorus. Like, so that's like my thing. I'm like, screw it. Like that's, everyone knows it. So it was easier for them to get to know the new guy with theme song we already know.
Yeah.
To help try to facilitate that initial like, we hate this guy, as opposed to like having to learn a new song and
I get you.
Kick him in the chest right on the way out.
There we go. That's cool.
So
my buddy, a guy I went to high school with, my buddy Mike, we were in a band together briefly. He's the best drummer in the world, in my opinion, now that Neil Peart's passed on. And he actually now he lives in Munich. He and his lady friend had a baby. So my buddy from high school is now living in Munich, so not terribly far from me. But he's this amazing drummer. He plays for Saga, if you know prog rock at all. He's the drummer for Saga and for Spock's Beard. And the bass player is my buddy Chris, who is the bassist for Anvil. Anvil, the thrash band.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's their bass player. So them and then this guy Pete Swan, who's just this ridiculously good musician who deserves more credit than he gets. Those three, I mentioned to him, said, "Listen, do you mind? I need some music because when I'm at wrestling shows and they want to, play my music out, they kind of have to cut it off and just have me in the ring, and I don't get my full ring entrance because they don't have licensing for the music. Right. Could you throw something together?" And like 2 days later, they put together this fantastic music for me. It's been an endless help to every promotion I go to. Like, well, what do you got for music? Do we have to look something up? No, here, I own this. And then I own it. Nobody else gets it. So it works out perfectly for me.
That's cool.
That
That's
is
awesome.
actually really good advice.
And actually, fans made a couple of different music videos with, I don't know how they got a copy of the music, but they got a copy of it, and they made music videos with clips of a bunch of my stuff. And a lot of it I'd forgotten I'd done. Like this one video has like stuff from Japan, from Noah, but then stuff from this one show I did in Russia, which drew well, but it was kind of a small hall, maybe 1,000 people, but it was a really dark hall in the middle of nowhere. You'd never expect them to have filmed it. But they have footage from it and stuff I did in Turkey. And, we had like big house. There were like 8,000, 9,000 people in Turkey. But they got all this different great footage, and they pieced together this music video. Like, people are putting way more effort into my career than I am.
Wow.
The fans can be amazing with that. I think we all love when they do stuff like that.
Absolutely.
What did you think about the Russian crowds?
They were magnificent. They were just nuts from start to finish. They were awesome. The first show we did there, I was semi-main event, because the main event was a battle royal. I was doing the championship match right before it, so I had the whole card to watch. Mm-hmm. And I went. It was in this really elegant like opera theater, like big chandeliers and everything, well lit. Like I like a dark room, but it was really well lit. And I went up to the top of the bowl just to look down and see what people are popping on, so I can adjust, because I didn't know what the Russian. I don't know what they've seen, if it's internet wrestling or if it's WWF. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I went up there, and Doug Williams and Murat Bosporus opened the show.
Yeah, you're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they locked up, and Doug pulled Murat into a headlock, and the audience went, "Oh!" And I was like, "I love this place."
Wow. Because I remember we were there. It was in Moscow, and it was Cody and I versus Brodus and Tenzai, and we had a we were taking it around the horn. It was a European tour and everything. Okay, whatever. So here we go. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Nothing. Okay. Circle up. Nothing. I went over and just I hugged Cody, and the place just started and we were like, okay, fine. we know what we have to do.
They want the panto, yeah.
But it was just the four of us, we just went, because Tenzai was getting ready to get the people up. Cody goes and he I think he did something, he would yell, and but Brodus and I were just there. We're huh? Okay, let's So it was super interesting. But then once they were into it, how hot they were, it was great. But that was one of the only times that I felt wait a minute, how that didn't work. How dare that not work?
My first WWF tryout was at Skydome. There's 44,000 people there, right? And there's a very famous picture of Austin tied in the ropes and Vince standing over him, and they're both yelling at each other in each other's faces. That happened at that show. It was right in the heat. That was the time that. Wow. So the audience was crazy, right? And I was working with a guy who's one of the students at the gym I was at. I was kind of help teaching and stuff like that. Great guy. And I said, "This is what we're doing for our match." He's like, "Don't worry about it." It's like, "You're giving me 8 minutes of your life. I've done a million fucking things for you. You're giving me 8 minutes of your life. We're doing this." Mm-hmm. And Cornette was so cool. He pulls us aside, says, "Listen, don't worry. The people are probably not going to pop for you. They're here for Austin. Mm-hmm. But we know what we're looking for. So don't let the crowd distract you from that. Just go out there and do your shit." I was like, "All right." And it's the last time I ever got butterflies, because I'm standing there and all of a sudden this god awful techno music starts playing. I'm like, "Gee, that's fucking dog shit." And they go, "Okay, Joe, you're on." I'm like,
"It turns out that's your music."
Yeah. And I was like, "Who?" And I got the butterflies. And then when I walked through the curtain, it all just went away. I was like, "Okay, I'm kind of the gimmick now." And as I walked down the aisle, there was a whole bunch of people, because we used to go down to Detroit once every 2 weeks to wrestle for Insane Championship Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And there was a whole group of fans from Detroit right along the barricade. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I walked out, they're all like, "Hey, that's Legend! It's Legend!" And I was like, "Thank God you're here. Fuck you, you piece of shit." got my heat with them. Got in the ring, started doing the match. I used to do this thing where I'd send you to the ropes. I'd do a drop down to my back. And as you ran off the ropes, I'd spin, nip up, and clothesline you in one motion. Got to pop everywhere I did it. Mm-hmm. So we're doing it in the Sky Dome. So blop, blop, drop down, nip up, clothesline, boom. And I look at the crowd and nothing. Just crickets. And I'm like, and I got mad. That's just my fucking ego. I guess that was cool. He fucking So then I march over all in a mood to go grab Rob. And as I go to grab Rob, all I hear is, oh. And then I realized it took that long for the sound to go up, hit the top of the dome, and come back down. So it threw my timing all off. I didn't realize that was, okay, it did get over. Okay, I'm happy to go.
Yeah. That is weird, right?
Sound threw the timing off, yeah.
In bigger arenas, how it is always like that.
Yeah. And you don't expect it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, it is strange where you just get used to that. Like, you know what I mean? I have to give it an extra 1,001 to make sure like everyone know. And that's why people shouldn't rush. But that's another.
Yeah. There's another one too. We were working in Denver. And it was me, and I think it was me and Joey Abs, I'm like second or third. And we got this whole match we're putting together. And Eddie Guerrero comes up. And he's like, hey, guys, I heard you guys talking about your match. And I just want to tell you, man, take it easy out there. I'm like, all right. He goes, no, I'm telling you, take it easy. You're going to want to take it easy out there. And in the back of my mind, like, this prick just wants me to slow down, doesn't want us to do well. This fucking prick trying to hold his spot, da-da-da-da-da. And we go out there, and we're in the Mile High City, so air's thin. And like,
Denver got you.
Like, first spot in, I'm like, he wasn't bullshitting.
Yep. Dude, right?
We finish the match. I go in the back. I pull myself together. It takes a while. Then I go and I seek out Eddie, and I pull him aside. I say, listen, not for nothing. I just want to apologize. You don't know I was calling you an asshole in my mind, but I was calling you an asshole in my mind because I doubted you, and you were trying to help, and I was a dick for not accepting.
But he should have said the air's thin.
He goes, hey, the same thing happened. We were here with WCW. It was me and Malenko, our first time here, and we did one of our spot fests. We were on oxygen masks when we got back from the locker room.
Yeah.
Yep.
He goes, I didn't want to step on your whole thing and tell you what to do, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up without, trying to be the dick. And it was just the kindest thing he could have done, and I took it the wrong way, so the heat was on me. So I made it a point to go and apologize to him.
Yeah, but no, you learned the Denver lesson one time.
Yes, and I used it in Austria too. I used it in Austria, and I saw the Eddie side of it because there were 6 guys there from Chikara. Quackenbush, and I don't know who the other guys were, but I remember Quack because I talked to him for a bit. And I told the guy, say, listen, you're in Austria, man. You're in the mountains, so watch, the air's thin. I hear your spots, but pace it. And they all gave me the same look.
At least you said the air is thin.
Yeah, they all gave me the same look I gave Guerrero, and they all went out there, and they were supposed to do, I think, 30 minutes. I think they came back in just a little over 15, and just dragging ass. They all came in, and that one at a time came up and apologized. I'm like, I did the same thing. I don't blame you. Yeah, it's the Denver lesson, as you call it.
Yep, bites one. That's it. I wrestled Maven, and I was like, because we were out there for doing something. I was in OVW at the time, but they had brought me to do something. I think it was the Easter Bunny on something, and then like, oh, okay, well, you're on TV, just you wrestle Maven, and no one warned me. I just went out there and I went, what the. You know what I mean? Like, holy crap! I was fine, but I was like, still, like, this was not a normal me.
That's right.
It's a hell of it until you've experienced it.
That's what it's like to have asthma on regular air.
Yeah, and I already have asthma, so I was like extra freaking out. Yeah, and I just I ended up looking it up, and it turns out like they send a lot of Olympic athletes to train up in Denver.
Train up there.
Yeah, if you can survive it up there and be at Olympic level performance, you can definitely do it when you can actually get a breath of air.
Yeah.
So here's the last question, and then I will leave you be. Alex wants to know if you enjoy being a top trainer on Celebrity Wrestling UK.
I loved it. I had a great time. It's a shame the show didn't do well, but it was kind of kneecapped from the beginning.
Okay.
Because, one of the guys from the show came to see me at a show I was doing for Dixon. And he pulls me aside and says, listen, we're doing this show. I can't tell you too much because we don't want anybody else to find out. It's ITV, so it's a big deal. But we'd like to maybe have you come in for a tryout for it, but it involves a certain amount of wrestling. I was like, all right, just, stay in touch, whatever. And I think I was 3 days away from flying to Toronto around Christmas time to visit my parents. And I get a call and they say, we had a word. This guy really likes you. We'd like you to come and have a tryout. I'm like, well, I'm leaving for Toronto on Friday for 2 weeks. So you want to set it up for when I get back or in the new year? And I said, no, how about tomorrow? I was like, okay. They go, yeah, we'll set it up. We'll fly you out tonight. We'll get you here. You'll do your tryout first thing in the morning. Then we'll fly you out. You'll be back home in no time. So they did. And they brought me to this judo studio in the middle of London. And they gave me the guy who was the fitness trainer for the celebrities and the guy who came to see me at the wrestling show, who's just like an office guy. Like he was wearing like jeans and a button-up shirt. And they said, just train them how you would train our celebrities. And so I did this workout. It's called PTA. It means pain, torture, and agony. It's the best wrestling cardio ever.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. The Russian Olympic team does it for 15 minutes. The Russian army does it 15 minutes. Ron had us doing it for between a half hour and 45 minutes. Never had better cardio. And I had 4 black belts at the time, and I had better cardio from wrestling than my martial arts.
Wow.
And so I did the thing. I told Steven, the guy from the office, I said, you're going to last, we're going to do 10 minutes of PTA. You're going to last, I'm guessing, 2 minutes. And the celebrity trainer, I'm going to beat you in about 8. And Steve's like, oh, come on, 2 minutes. I'm like, I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. And in less than a minute, he was trying to crawl off the mat like a Civil War veteran. Just, and I went over. I picked him up by the belt and like a suitcase. And no, I said, you're doing 2 minutes. You're doing 2 bastard minutes. And to his credit, the celebrity fitness guy did the full 10. I tried to wear him out in the last 2 minutes. He proved me wrong. But as soon as I said, all right, that's 10 minutes, he just dropped like a sack of laundry.
Wow.
And I just walked away from it because I did it with him. I said, I won't ask you to do anything I wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. And I walked away. And I think they really liked that.
How unbuildable of you.
Sorry?
How unbuildable of you.
Yeah, I've heard tales. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have him do a lot of Hindu squats, though.
Yeah.
But I did that, and everything, they ended up hiring me for it. So they said, okay, you've got the job, and we'll bring you in. You're going to coach one team, and D'Lo Brown's going to coach the other, and Roddy Piper's going to host the show. So like, fucking great. You know, Roddy was I knew about D'Lo because it's a wrestling community. Word gets around. Yeah. But Roddy was a good secret. I didn't know. I was all excited, right? And so they flew us in to start the show, and they brought us into ITV Towers, and I still didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I was hired and I was getting paid decent. And so they bring us up and they give us this paperwork. They say, here's the games towers. I'm like, here's the what? The games towers? What the fuck are you talking? And I look at it, I was like, oh, it's like American Gladiators. And it was like you could hear the record skip and the people dropping cutlery and everything went silent. They all gave me the look. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? They're like, you can't call it that. I'm like, why not? They go, well, Gladiators is a BBC property and we're ITV. It's like, you can call it date rape if you want. It's still fucking Gladiators. You're putting wrestling gimmicks on celebrities and making them do Gladiators games.
Yeah.
And they said, well, yeah. I said, right, okay. I said, I'd be a dick if I saw a problem and didn't bring it up. So you could just tell me it's not a problem and like, you've got me. This isn't a hill I'm going to die on. But I'm looking at this thing and you have celebrity wrestling. There's no wrestling. These are Gladiators games. Mm-hmm. So it's misrepresented. Call it celebrity combat, celebrity challenge, celebrity whatever. The wrestling will be implied because you have Roddy Piper, D'Lo Brown to a lesser extent, and me to a lesser extent than him because he had a really good run with Vince. Mm-hmm. So in turn, between the three of us, you got your wrestling base covered. I don't think you have to beat them over the head with that. And they said, no, everything is CW. The teams are the Crusaders and the Warriors and the red and the blue and all this stuff. It's like, all right, well, if that's what you want. But I think the people who like wrestling are going to watch it once and say this isn't wrestling and shut it off. And the people who don't like wrestling aren't going to watch it because you called it wrestling.
Yeah.
So I think this is a problem. But
that's your problem. You're thinking.
good. Grim habit of mine. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be an issue. And they up and down. No. We've licensed all these names and stuff. All right, if that's what you want, it's what you want. Sure. And D'Lo is like, it comes over and goes, I totally agree. I think they're fucking themselves into a hole. I'm like, yeah. He said, but let's just get paid. And I said, yeah, still, it just kind of bugs me because I'd like this thing to last a long time. If I could do several seasons, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we saw Roddy a few weeks later. He came in later because we did trainings and then we did the show. So Roddy came in for the showtime. Mm-hmm. And the first day I saw Roddy, sat down, I'm like, yeah, I'm, big mark for you and such. And I said, listen, about the the name. Do you really agree with that? He goes, no, they're misrepresenting it, but hey, I'm getting paid. So I'm not alone in this, right? I'm not down in this hill alone. And sure enough, like when it got broadcast, we were the big other thing that screwed us is that they put us on directly opposite the reboot of Doctor Who.
Oh, no. Really?
Which is like a cultural institution in England.
Yeah.
Nobody misses Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So it was just, it was 2 strikes, and they hit the batter with the ball. They didn't go for 3 strikes.
Wow.
So it unfortunately didn't work out, but I had a great time, and I got to hang out with Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, and Randy Savage were the 3 reasons I got involved in the job. They were the 3 ones who inspired me. I can fucking do this, and those are the guys I want to be like. So to be able to spend a couple of months hanging out with Roddy and eventually be able to call him my friend, and hanging out with D'Lo, who's just always been a great guy. I've known him since the Detroit days and stuff. He's a fucking wonderful guy.
Yes,
and
he is.
The celebrities got the ones. I mean, they were British celebrities, so you might know Victoria Silvstedt. She was a Penthouse Playboy model. Stunningly beautiful. But most of them are British celebrities. James Hewitt, the guy who was
Outlander.
No, James Hewitt. He was the one who was nailing Diana behind Charles's back.
Oh, sorry.
The one who you think is the father of the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a fucking killer too. I thought he was going to be this freaking whiny posh guy. He was a fucking killer. He's like an army ranger or something. He's an absolute killer.
I'm thinking Sam Hewitt. Sam Hewitt's Outlander, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I got excited. I heard Hewitt, and I'm like, oh, Outlander.
I'm getting the vapors.
Oh.
Makes the boy feel attacked.
Is there a kilt nearby? What?
But so they were the British people would know him. Like Oliver Skeet is a equestrian show jumper. Great guy, great athlete, super guy. How many wrestling fans know who equestrian jumpers? Ewan Thomas. He was an Olympic silver medalist. I think it was hurdles and sprint. Can't remember which was the 100 meters. He had silver medals from the Olympics. And he was a member of the British Order and all that stuff. But these are all guys who, if you were in England all the time, you probably knew who they were. But it wouldn't have any appeal outside because you wouldn't really know any of the celebrities.
Gotcha.
I had a great time on that show. They paid me well, took good care of me. Got to live in London. I got to live like right downtown, 15 minutes from Piccadilly Circus.
Wow.
It was a wonderful time. It reinvigorated me in England so that all my indie bookings picked up when I was done. And it's helped me when, I did a music video over here for a German band. And I had to kind of, use that in my resume to let them know that I still did film work and stuff like that. So, I got nothing but good things to say about it.
That's
very
awesome.
cool.
So people can see you on Sirius on a iPay-per-view. How many? Did you say it was February 18th?
The Sunday the 18th, I believe it is. Sunday the 18th. Yep. I was going to be in Poland on the 17th, but I don't think that's happening because Poland's really gone crazy with the restrictions on the borders and such. Still could happen, but not entirely certain. And I don't want to mislead people and say, I'll be there. And then I'm not. That wouldn't be right.
Okay.
And then in March, I think it's March 20th, I'm working. We're doing the next Unlimited wrestling show, which is really probably the biggest wrestling promotion. I mean, WXW is probably the most well-known wrestling promotion over here in Germany. But Unlimited is drawing these excellent crowds. I'm working Marty Scurll for the championship.
Nice.
Remember Marty? It was supposed to be a 3-way dance, but there's an issue with the one guy who was supposed to be in the 3-way. So now it's just me and Marty, apparently, unless they find somebody else, I guess.
Nice.
But, I'm looking forward to working Marty. I haven't worked him since the early 2000s in England. It's long before his villain gimmick.
That's cool.
But the places, the crowds are always wild, and it's a great time. It's
good.
Unlimited might start doing a touring schedule because they're doing so well.
Oh wow!
Wow, awesome. That's promising. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So I like to hear that about wrestling in general. If we can get some touring companies, everybody wins.
Yeah, no kidding. I feel like we're going into like another sort of golden era of wrestling, slowly but surely. So.
I'm liking the fact that AEW is a different product. I don't like everything they do, but I'm glad that they're different than WWE, so that people have a choice to decide what they like.
But you like everything. You like everything.
Exactly.
How about this? And I've always said this. You have different styles, different gimmicks, different things, different philosophies, right? On wrestling. If something's good, it's good. If it sucks, it sucks. And that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Andre the Giant was not Rey Mysterio, but the two were awesome.
Yeah. Both were draws in their own way. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that to me, right? It's like, it just got to be good, man. You know, you got to present it the right way, and you got to have the right people doing it.
Yeah.
And,
the big key is not to insult your audience.
Yep.
I find too many guys are so busy trying to get the ha-ha spot in that the joke's on them.
Yeah.
Is the crowd's not laughing with them, they're laughing at them. And that's where I find a lot of the business struggles, because people are going too much for the ha-ha spots, and they're not trying to make it look like a contest anymore, but rather just kind of look what I can do.
The thing is, right, if you get the ha-ha, which is great, you either use that at the height of them laughing and, oh, that was ha-ha, that's great. If you're a heel, then you turn around and you just, you get on them and like they take it out from under them,
Exactly.
That's
kind of the psychology I use. I'm mostly a babyface now, just I'm old and stuff. But the idea is that I come in and we have a party and we're having a great time, and then the heel gets mad, and he's the guy who calls the cops to shut the party down. And now we all hate him for ruining the party. So when I come back to kick his ass, they don't want more party. They want to see this guy get his ass kicked for ruining the party.
Yep. Yeah.
And that story, by and large, threads through nicely. I mean, as a standalone match, if there's an angle and stuff like that, it obviously plays it differently.
Yeah.
But from a standalone match, it works every time.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming by and taking time out of your sleep schedule. But no, this was awesome. It was great to finally meet you via the miracle of the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Where else can people find you online?
Let's see. On Twitter, my thing is Lord Joe E. Legend, because I am legitimately a Scottish lord.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It just means property owner, but it's a great way to annoy people.
I have a little bit too.
My mom.
I'm a lady.
That's right. The wife got hot because I said I became a lord, which is the only way to make a lady of her. She got all mad. Can you imagine? The cheek.
That's funny. So Lord Joe E. Legend on Twitter. Anywhere else? And
then there's There's a few Joey Legend sites on Facebook, but there's only a couple that I work with. There's the Joey Legend one. There's a picture of me like with a white background and my Japanese belt. And then they can go to my personal site, which is Joe E. Hitchin, my real name. Because foolishly, I don't know, maybe it's just I'm getting old and lazy. But I just usually look at that site. So a lot of people message me there because like when I'm not wrestling, I'm me, So when I'm wrestling behind me, I'm just more annoying. Which is hard to believe, I know.
Yeah. Thank you for making the time to come on here. Thank you for fighting the good fight.
Thank you. Thank you guys for keeping
the resistance.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for keeping the spirit alive. It's sometimes frustrating when I look around me and I just see everybody rolling over. It drives me nuts. And you say, well, here's 11 things off the top of my head that don't make any sense. Can you make sense of it? And they're like, well, no, but it's what they're telling me. It's like, just doing my job. That's what a lot of people said when they were doing some awful shit.
Yeah.
This has been my argument the whole time. I'm still waiting for an answer that makes sense, and no one can give us one. And it's infuriating to me that people are not screaming at the top of their lungs, demanding that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
With everything that they are. It makes me sick to my fucking stomach that people are rolling over and just taking it up the ass with no lube, no kiss, and no drink. Like, seriously.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's getting around.
It's like, come on, people. We need to stand together. We need to find out what's going on here. Unite. Just everybody unite.
How many people consider themselves a badass and, I'm so street smart. Like, are you though?
New York. New York is supposed to be the most badass state in the United States, and they're the ones that rolled over the quickest.
But I mean, like, maybe it's just because we're involved in a wrestling job that we can spot a work a little bit easier. We see the telltale signs of a work. And the people, the marks who get worked easy, I mean, who were trying to work, tend to get swept up in the work a little bit easier. Maybe that's
Nick
just.
and I had, Nick and I had a 3-hour conversation at Cracker Barrel about that.
Oh, I miss Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Their lemonade is in the frosted mugs. Oh, it tastes like happy.
Yep.
It's so good.
Yeah, maybe that is it. We've had a lifetime of seeing through the bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Looking to where the work goes. Yeah. We're always looking to where the angle's headed next, as opposed to
like, okay, if I do this right now, where's it happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
Maybe. I don't
No,
know.
but thank you so much for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
Hey, you
thank
too,
you.
man. Be
And,
safe out there.
yeah, and we normally peck flex at the end. Can you want to peck flex with us?
I'm not going to trump you, April. I think you got the win.
No one ever does. Believe me.
I don't know. We're in a sweater. You can't see anything today. We
Wear
switch
my
on Twitch.
Wearing my Powerwolf shirt here.
I know. We're too covered up tonight.
Oh, and a buddy of mine from high school has a podcast. He'd love to have you guys on. It's like only a 15 or 20 minute one from Toronto. He'd love to have you on just to talk whatever you want to talk about.
Right on.
Cool.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
You got it.
All right. Well, thank you for spending your evening with us. Apologize for keeping you up, but thank you. And to everybody out there who is watching and will watch this, thank you for hanging in there and staying with us and asking your awesome questions. Join us on twitch.tv, The A Show, and you can see all our shows on Patreon, The A Show. And thank you for your subscriptions and your bits and just being with us. We will see you again on Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern, and we love you. Good night.
Night, guys.
Good night.